All right, back down here in the workshop today, so let's see what we can get into. All right, gonna have to come up with some way to have these inside of a box. So let me see what I can come up with for that. All right, not exactly sure on the code for this, but we're gonna end up using this. But let me show you how I gotta do it, but I gotta modify this. But we're gonna make that work for a connection box here. Like I said, I'm not sure on the code for this, so make sure to consult, your local and national codes for this. It's actually fit pretty well, so let me show you inside the box how it came out. So you can see it actually looks pretty good in there. Trying to get a good view for you. I think that'll work. But I finally figured out what I'm going to use here. It's actually going to be a piece of PEX tubing. So I'm going to use that as not as a conduit, but as more just to protect the wires, because I didn't put anything into the walls because they're so thin. So we're going to run them down the outside. So you can see here, I got a piece cut that we're going to run down to here. But before I get this fastened in spot, I want to go ahead and get my wire run. So we're going to do that now. Alright, you can see I got run all the way across now. So I don't have it tied into my connection up there yet, so I don't have to worry about that. But we have everything down here. Our wires are here. Everything is down here. All of our wires are in, the ground is made. I just got to make my connections. I wish these were longer, but that's what it had in there. Hey, when you're using these little lever lock things, make sure you do a pull test on these. Meaning you pull it to make sure it's not going to come out of here. Make sure everything's locked in tight on these. Here you can see everything's nice and snug in there. But I always put the black one on top since that's the hot one. Yeah, and people probably realize that the small one on your receptacle, the smaller opening is going to be your hot leg. That's going to be your neutral and of course your ground. So usually when I do these, especially at a workbench, I put the neutral side up. So that way if something were to fall on here, it would actually ground out to a ground, not hit against your live. So since I have no power to this right now, let me show you what I'm talking about with that. All right, so we have our plug. We have that plugged in. But say this was out a little bit and something up here on the wall fell down. It could actually hit that receptacle, short out, and you might not ever know it. But if I have the hot one on the bottom, I'm safe from something falling down on top of that. So that's why I mount them this way. All right, now we just got to find a cover for that box to put that on. That way we can seal it up. All right, I'll show you here what I got done. I did put a little stay to hold it here and one at the top also, way up there, just to hold that pipe, just to hold the pipe against the wall. So that's all in there. We got the cover on, so that way everything is protected. Now we get to get up into this mess and get this wired up. But to do that, I need to fix my little cutoff I have up here because that cuts off all the receptacles in this room. So before I do that, I want to get this wall painted. So now we're on the paint. Alright, we did get that, all the wall was painted. I don't know if you noticed, but I did put a piece of trim on there and down on the underside, and I got those painted also. So now we're gonna let this dry and we'll come back tomorrow and do some more. All right, so yesterday you saw that I got the, this whole wall is, now painted. It's good enough for down here in the basement. This corner actually turned out really well as far as with the conduit running down it. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing down in that corner using some more of the PEX tubing. But for right now, actually what I want to do is, this wall has no receptacle either, so I'm gonna get one put over here. Yeah, you can see I actually kind of already pre-made up my little ring. So it's already pre-wired, so I just got to wire this into the wire sticking out here. And I know people give flack about trying to use this PEX tubing as conduit, but I'm not using it as conduit. I'm actually just using it to protect this wire so that way it doesn't get damaged by anything. And this is actually measured, so there's a table underneath over there that you can't see. That's on wheels, and when that rolls over here, I want to make sure it can go underneath this and not actually bang into it. So that's what the measurements were for, but I wanted to keep it lower but not too low. So I do have this cut off here. This actually just only cuts off the receptacles in the room, not the lighting. So when I do this, I can actually just turn off my receptacle. This is like an emergency cutoff for it that I put in a while ago, but it does control both of the circuits that are going to be out here in this workshop. So let me get that hung back on the wall. All right, so we got this on. I actually have this fastened to its own little board. I just put it right on top so you can see it actually looks nice. And I have this so it stands out, so I know not to put anything in front of here to block it, because this is my emergency cutoff. So when we cut it off, all the receptacles in this workshop are now dead. Now I can go work on wiring the other ones in. All right, we got that all done. So now we're gonna get our little cheap tester and go around and make sure they all are wired correctly. So our first test is gonna be turning this on and see if we hear a pop. Nope, no pop. If you heard the beep, that's actually a dehumidifier plugged in the other side of the workshop. So now we'll come to the first receptacle. Too yellow, too yellow, too yellow, means it's good. Now we're gonna come over here to these, try this one out. Too yellow. I'm not gonna do every single one because they're all wired together. Too yellow. Too yellow. All right, I call that a success. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here for the day. Hey, I didn't show you when I wired it up, but let me show you the connection box. You can see that it was actually originally they just had one of those little handy boxes here. So I did put an extension on it because I have more wires than needed for in there. So I had to go by the cubic inches. So now this, at least, is up to code. If you could give me a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe, that would greatly help out the channel.